But then again, I used to, before I had this job, I worked for a news station, and like, you really get nothing off when you work in news. In fact, the only reason that I even got Christmas off the 2 years I worked in news, because I worked there from 2021 to 2023. 2020, Christmas 2021 and 2022 were the 2 years that I worked in news. And the only reason that I even got Christmas Day off those 2 years was because Christmas happened to fall on a weekend. And I did not work weekends. And if I had, oh, they wouldn't have given a shit. I would have been working Christmas. I have so many horror stories of working at a news station. Like, if you want, if that kind of job sounds like your cup of tea, like, that's fair, but it's not the ideal job for somebody like me. Because some people, like my brother is one of those people who, like, he would not last at a desk job because he would get bored and he would just, like, hate it. He needs to be, like, out going somewhere doing something, and meanwhile it's like, for me, a desk job is, like, my ideal environment, which is why I'm very thankful that I have one now. Like, I would love a job where I don't have to go anywhere. Because working in news, you know, breaking news is a thing that can happen, and I'm autistic, if that wasn't fucking obvious. And so, like, I hate last minute changes. I hate not knowing things in advance. I hate things being sprung on me last minute. And, in news, that's all shit that's gonna happen to you. Especially because, like, when our old morning producer left to take a different job, closer to where she grew up, the new guy, well, okay, he wasn't new, but the person that they promoted to take her place, he had this horrible habit, and obviously he's never gonna see this, because I don't think he even has the fucking internet, but obviously I'm not gonna fucking say his name. Anyway, this guy, he had this horrible, horrible habit, in particular, of sending me, because I was the morning photographer. So, for context, my shift was 3 a.m. to noon. I was the morning editor and photographer, so if anything was happening before, like, 9 a.m., it would fall on my shoulders, because I was the only photographer that was in at that was in. So, when, anyway, he had this, we have two other local news stations here, besides the one I worked for, and this guy in particular, he just really, really liked, he had this thing where he always wanted to beat the other stations to a story, and that often resulted in him not, like, getting all the facts right and just sending me out, like, 50 minutes away on a whim because there was, like, a suspected shooting, even though there's, like, I remember there was this one time in particular, it was, like, 5 a.m. He's like, there was a suspected shooting, like, 2 counties away, and this was up near, like, the Kentucky border. It was in one of those counties, Claiborne or whatever, and it was a suspected shooting. He did not have any fucking info for me apart from that. And like, he didn't even, he was like, it was near a church, and I was like, okay, great. Do you have, like, an address? Do you have, like, any information other than a suspected shooting? And it was like, no, of course he didn't. But anyway, so I drive out fucking 50 minutes away to go to this thing. And obviously, I don't know where the fuck I'm going, and and he's supremely unhelpful. Eventually I just end up getting some footage of the church that it allegedly took place at, because I get there and nothing is happening. Nothing is fucking happening. And, just like, oh, no. So nothing is happening. I get back, I barely get there are no streetlights on this street either, so I have to use the news car's headlights to get anything decent. And it was just fucking annoying, because he did that, and anyway, the point here is, I fucking hated this guy. Anyway, but yeah, like, he was so obsessed with, beating the other two stations to the story. Like, to his detriment. To my detriment, rather. And, like, there were so many times where, like, we'd get there, and I'd get there, and he'd be like, yeah, no one's here. None of the other stations aren't here, and it's like, yeah, I fucking wonder why. 'Cause it ended up being nothing. That was the thing with this guy. Like, it always just ended up being fucking nothing.